Welcome. It's great to see you all again in our second episode of AGRU Trends. Probably we were a little bit nervous on our first episode. Of course, each time we you start doing something new, it's always new for everybody, and that includes us. So probably we forgot why to mention why we're doing this. AGRU Trends, it's an initiative of AGRU in order to show why we are the plastic experts, or nevertheless, we call ourselves the plastic experts. Plastic experts also means being an expert on showing our customers, our partners, our installers, or our uh, industry why we are experts in such an important matter. And this is why we're covering all the most important areas of our day-to-day in agro. We, of course, started with one of our coolest and biggest divisions, the XXL pipe division. We're in our first episode that you probably already watched and enjoyed. We talk about the HDPE big diameter pipes. In that episode, we spoke a little bit about the the technology behind the XXL division, and of course, difference between HDPE and the other materials that can be found in the industry. Now, in this second episode, we're going to cover another areas, another important topics of big diameter pipes, and that's why we have again Matthew Danysh, uh,
Hey guys.
our senior technical engineer, and Edgardo Cornejo, Chief Operations Officer from AGRU America. Edgardo, Matt, always good to see you.
Hi, Francisco. Hi, Matthew. First of all, like my Francisco said, this effort, this initiative is for the users, is for the customers, for the engineers, for anyone that wants to know about XXL and the product that AgGroup brings to the table. We're trying to focus a very efficient way of communication. Nowadays, this is very easy to see, and we just want to make sure you have what you need. So you can also try to send some communication with our social media and let us know if you want a special topic that you want us to develop. I think these efforts will help us to move the product solution to the next level. So thanks again for staying with us.
Absolutely. Matt, we cover several aspects in our first episode. Probably we went deeper on some technical information, but one of the things I think it's important to cover it's the HDP pipe itself and probably the different technologies behind it. I don't know if you would like to uh, talk us a little bit about what can be found in the industry and the difference between technologies of
Okay,
HDP
yeah, so
pipes.
HDPE pipe has been around for a long time, but solid wall large diameter pipe has just recently been on the market by AGRU in the last five years or so. But people have been using HDPE pipe for a long period of time, and what we're trying to do is make sure that people understand that there are the solutions out there for their projects using HDPE pipe, especially for offshore and onshore, nearshore projects where either it's intake or outfalls that are being used. And so when you're dealing with offshore, onshore, nearshore, it's large volumes of water. And so what we talked about last week was that the large diameter pipe is very useful for bringing in a large quantity of water where it's needing for cooling or for heating, or it's used to outfall uh, uh, water from sewer plants or something like that back into the ocean. And so, what we're trying to accomplish today is to show that HDPE is the material of choice, especially for offshore, wherever you're dealing with ocean water, because of the corrosivity of the pipe being very good compared to all the other materials, and that people have been trying to use HDPE even though solid wall pipe was not around. And so what we came about is looking at some projects that we've seen in the last 10 years or so using spiral pipe. So there's a pipe that can be made out of HDPE. It's called spiral pipe, and it is if you put on one of the pictures of the show what it looks like. This pipe is it's HDPE, but it's made with a spiral method, meaning that these extrude the polyethylene around into a circle around a cylindrical mandrel, and so it makes basically a pipe. Some of the limitations, though, for this pipe are that it is not solid wall, so it's not something that is structural in nature. It's flexible, similar to regular HDPE, but you can't join the pipe using butt fusion welding. They actually use either bell and spigot or a sleeve type of a arrangement where they can slide the pipe into each other to make a connection for a joint. And so, have you familiar with this, Edgardo or Francisco, as far as this type of pipe being installed in your areas?
Yes, and I was going to ask you. So that's kind of the competitor's pipe, right? So where those applications are, Matthew, will be my question. I've seen it in low pressure, but nowadays, because of the different structure that the pipe has, and some of the gap in the knowledge, I've seen some specs where they allow spiral pipe, which is different technology than what we produce, which is solid wall. So it might be good if you can kind of explain the main difference. If this is stronger, if can this one withstand less pressure, more pressure? Because, like you said, it's a different methodology for joining them, which that will be a higher cost or a lower confidence on the usage of that pipe potentially. But what do you think
Right.
about that?
Yeah. So go to the next slide and we'll discuss how that's installed. So spiral pipe or corrugated pipe is very good for what it's used for. Like you said, drainage. So drainage type of pipe where you slide the two pipes together. There's no internal pressure. It's basically just gravity flow. And the way that you join these together is basically there's a bell and spigot where you just slide one pipe inside the other, and sometimes they have a gasket or some type of adhesive in there that basically holds the pipes together. But this pipe cannot take internal pressure because it's not basically confined, and it relies a lot on the surrounding soils to provide stability. And you should not be using this pipe if there's a lot of differential settlement or areas where the pipe could be pulled apart because then the seams would come apart. But we have seen issues with this pipe installed, especially offshore, near shore, where there's in the mud or something like that, and there's differential movement, and some of these joints have some gaps in them. So you get sediments and things like that that come into the pipe and settle to the bottom of the pipe. It basically restricts the flow of the pipe, unless you have to go in there and clean it out. So there are some benefits for HDPE pipe, where HDPE pipe is made. Like we can either make it long strings or we make short pipes and we butt weld them together. And the butt welding picture, if you put one more, yeah, this is where we take our HDPE solid wall pipe and we basically join it together using a heating element where the ends of the pipe are cleaned and squared, and they're put together into this against the heater plate, which basically melts the material. And one great thing about HDPE is that you can melt it and remelt it, and it basically can fuse to itself. So as you heat the material with the heater plate, then you pull the heater plate out and you bring the two pieces of pipe together, it makes a finished joint that's 100% polyethylene, where the polyethylene bonds to itself to make a completely homogeneous section then of pipe. So there's a big difference between the two methods that can be used to bring the two pipes together. This type of joint then does not have the issues of differential settlement. It has the same strength of the pipe. It'll move and flex along with the pipe, and it will not allow for like infiltration of sediments and things like that to come into the pipe. So have you seen this type of problem before, Edgar, where you have customers that have installed spiral pipe, and then they have issues with it, and then they want to kind of like throw all HDP pipe out. And we have to go in there and convince them no, solid wall HDP pipe is different than spiral pipe, and that it is a better solution for some applications where you're dealing with offshore, near shore, with relative movement and different types of solutions for their problems.
Yes, Matthew, but I think there's still some level of explanation or confusion, let's say. And I think it would be good if you can explain in a really high level what's the difference in the manufacturing process of a solid wall pipe, which is what AGRU does, compared to a spiral pipe, which is some of the competitors' pipe. And that will help clarify for the audience the performance as well.
Okay, so the spiral pipe is made where you basically wrap polyethylene around a mandrel. So you basically, it's like a internal mandrel, like a pipe, and the HDPE is extruded like in a different configurations. They have for corrugation, they'll have like a cylindrical body that they extrude, and it wraps around the pipe. So that's why it's called spiral pipe, and it wraps and it spirals or indexes to create the pipe. And this actually works fairly well because you don't have a lot of big equipment. Whereas the solid wall HDP pipe is made by an extrusion process where it melts the polyethylene. It goes through a die that's of the size of the pipe that you need. And as that pipe's being made, it's formed to a calibration ring, which actually sets the diameter. So that solid wall HDP pipe is set by the OD of the pipe and is controlled on the OD, whereas the spiral pipe is set on the ID, and then the OD is differential in different types of diameters as it goes through, especially with the corrugated pipe. And some of the benefits and negatives parts about it is since the HDP solid wall extruded pipe is consistent on the OD, you can do all different types of connections with it, meaning that you can do a electrofusion coupling where we can put an electrofusion coupling on the pipe to join it. We can use even a mechanical coupling to join the HDP pipes together with the solid wall. Whereas the corrugated or the spiral pipe has different types of geometry on the outside of the pipe. And so this makes it very difficult then to join the pipe from the outside because some of the structure of that spiral pipe is not as strong as the internal portion. And so you're not able to use the e-coupler on the outside. You're not able to use a mechanical coupling to the outside. There are some special mechanical couplings that can be made, but it's very specific type of circumstances that you can use them. Mostly it's supporting it from the inside of the pipe instead of the outside of the pipe, which makes it more difficult to ensure the installation is done correctly.
So if we want to put it in perspective, we have three types of pipe. The agro pipe, which is solid wall. You have, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, please. The second level below, it's other technology that is called spiral pipe. Like you said, you have an extruder pushing plastic through a mandrel, and then you're gonna create that pipe. And there's the third pipe, which is the structure pipe, have like ribs. Like if you could put the picture of that just for the audience to correlate this, because sometimes that's the main problem. There's a little bit of confusion of HDPE pipe. The three of them are HDPE pipe. That one that you see there is the third one. So again, the AGRU XXL pipe is solid wall. It will withstand a lot of pressure, and you know it was made with a round die, and you control the diameter of the outside diameter, and then you're gonna make sure you
Mm.
have the right thickness on the wall. So those are the three technologies based on your question, right, Francisco?
Yes, yes, no, no. What you are mentioning is crucial because when you said that there was a lot of confusion, and we suffered this a little bit in our region, where some customers trying to reduce its budget just want to confuse or are generally confused about solid wall or spiral type of pipes. And of course, the difference in price is indeed exists. But this is why, just as Matthew said, the pressure that they can support is totally different, actually. As Matthew said, no pressure is possible to be handled in a spiral type of pipe. And especially they are made of for another type of technical requirements for drainage, just Matthew said. And it's very important that the customers know the difference between those type of pipes, because at the end they are made to support different type of technical requirements. And the other important thing that you mentioned also, Matt and Edgar, it's about the welding. You talk about butt welding and also about electrofusion, and it's important to talk about. Nevertheless, it's not the specific matter of this particular episode, of this second episode of AGRU Trends, but we have made huge projects of big diameter electrofusion welding. Probably in Peru, remember, Edgar, you participated directly, and we participated as AGRU in an interesting project where we were able to weld big diameter pipes with electrofusion welding, isn't it?
Yes, those are. I think it's a very good example, and I think in the initial video, we see one
Yeah,
of those installation. But to put it again in perspective, I think going back to the three types, we have solid wall, the agri pipe. We have others like spiral and structural pipe.
there you go. That's
Um,
it. That's part of the video. Yes.
like you mentioned, depending on budgets and projects change through the life of the execution, right? So then at some time, in this specific case that you see there, uh, there was a change in the design, and indeed, they were trying to reduce a little bit of the cost, and then they decided to put a structural pipe, like the one with the reefs, not this one. This is after the fact. And what happened is the pressure was going to be okay, but a new variable started, which is static and dynamic loads. The pipe was installed like 10 meters below ground, and you have a highway in top. So you have a lot of traffic the whole day and night. And those vibrations created that structural pipe to fail. And when it fails, you have sewer water going through the houses. So that's why it's important to kind of understand the difference between the technologies that are outside. Uh, the design was checked again, and they scratched the structural pipe, and they decided to come with the solid wall pipe, which there are two things. It was going to withstand the pressure, the internal gravity, and everything. But on top of that, it was going to be able to withstand the static and dynamic loads, because that's a very important variable that I would like to ask you, Matthew. What do you think about that? Because it's just sometimes not just about the what's going on inside of the pipe, but what's going on outside of the pipe, in top of the pipe, the movements, what is the total distance where you're gonna install that pipe below ground, and it's if it's 1 meter, it's one thing, but if it's 10 meter below ground, there's a lot of movements, and those pipe needs to be able to withstand those loads. What do you think about that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And there's a really good calculation page on the PPI website that shows how much overhead soil and bearing loads you can have on HDP pipe, depending on its wall thickness. So it can take those loads uh, depending on what the overhead soil bearing is and the wall thickness of the pipe. So yeah, that definitely needs to be addressed. The surrounding soils need to be identified because the surrounding soils need to help take up some of that loading that's being presented to the pipe. And the thing about the HDP pipe is as you get larger in diameter, those external forces become even more important uh, because of the loading on the pipe itself. And so, as you get much larger in size with spiral pipe and different types of HDP pipe, it does make a difference on how what its ability is to resist that loading. And so that needs to be looked at by an engineer and needs to be addressed by the geotechnical and also from the loading standpoint of what loading will be on the pipe when it's installed and also in the future. Because as things change in the future, we have to, take some assumptions and ensure that for the life of the pipe, wherever it's going to be installed, it needs to be addressed as far as what those loading conditions are, and then the pipe can be designed to take those loads.
And what I would like to kind of summarize is uh, whoever is designing the pipe, they could say, oh, I need this thinner wall or this thicker wall. That is called SDR, which is a ratio between the diameter and the thickness of the pipe. And I've seen cases where it was designed, let's say, an SDR 26. And then because of the static loads and those things that I'm saying, and where the pipe was going to be installed, they decided to change that and make it thicker, SDR 21. Not because of the flow, but because of the static loads. That's where AGRU can help. That's where AGRU products can perform because Matthew said that there's some calculations and softwares. AGRU has also a particular software where you can bring all the different characteristics of your project, and we're gonna simulate those loads and tell you you can use this side or you can use this size of pipe, and then your project will be successful. So those little things are very important when designers and customers wants to know what is the best solution for their application. Again, you have different technologies. I'm going back to what Agro can produce: solid wall pipe in different thicknesses uh, to help withstand many of your needs. Yes, there's other technologies. There are price differences in all of them, and we can help you. We can help with our technicians. We have people in different factories and also in our headquarters that can check your needs and help you, give you an alternative. So I think that's been a very good conversation about trying to understand different type of pipes. I got it clear in my uh, explanation that is the three types. And again, solid
Yeah.
wall, spiral pipe, structural pipe. I grew the first one. We make solid wall pipes.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
And
the spiral pipe, large diameter, has been out there much longer than the solid wall HDP pipe. So that's the reason why a lot of people have used it in the past, and they're starting to see problems with it. And so, yeah, because the spiral pipe, they can make it up to like 4.5 feet in diameter, or 4.5 meters in diameter, 13 feet in diameter. And solid wall HDP pipe, we can make that to 3.5 meter or like 11.5 feet in diameter, but just recently in the last 6 years. And so you have a lot of this that's already been out there for 10 plus years of this larger diameter spiral pipe. And so we're starting to see some problems with it. And we just don't want people to not just throw HDP pipe completely out the window, because it still can be used with since we have this solid wall pipe, we can be using it in those applications successfully.
Uh,
definitely.
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
good.
we have covered this very important topic. Just reminding our audience that this is the second episode of three of our different series. This is the first series about XXL pipes. We have just one episode left. We're probably are gonna uh, talk about other important topics about the big diameter pipes, and our little voice in our headphone is talking, saying that we are on time, so we should be leaving. So I think it's has been another great episode for all of us. Edgar, Matthew, I don't know if you'd like to add just one more thing to close this second episode.
Yes, I would like to thank all the audience, and again, this is for you. So if you have
Yeah,
any interest in any specific topic, we're gonna be working on some additional series and different product types, and to help develop alternatives for any applications. Thanks for
Yeah,
everybody's time.
Yeah, absolutely, Edgar. We have the resources to help you design your project to be successful, because that's what we're here for. And also to make sure that people understand that solid wall HDP pipe is definitely the way to go.
Awesome. And since we're recording this in December, probably you're gonna watch this episode near Christmas. So it's always a good time to wish you a wonderful Christmas, an amazing 2024, and be sure we will be with you for more episodes in your projects, hopefully in your quotations too. But please be sure that we're here to help to support you. And this AGRU Trends series is made for you. So we look forward for your comments below in each of the channels. We are gonna share this AGRU Trends series. So all the best and see you very soon for our third episode.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Take care,
Ciao,
guys.
Edgar.
Thanks.
Bye, Matt.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.